Okay, so these are my responses for the discussion board post. I'll start with question 1. So the question is, you are a new nurse in a hospital who is preparing to assist in the operating room. You observe the primary surgeon scrubbing for the surgery, and just before he enters the OR, he stops to sign some papers. How would you approach the surgeon? So the way I responded to this question, my response would be, Doctor, let me set up your workstation for you so that you can re-scrub since you just touched that pen and clipboard. And that way, it's kind of a nice way, I feel like, of telling them that they need to go re-scrub. And hopefully wouldn't hurt anybody's feelings because you're also offering to do them a favor and telling them that, they need to re-scrub in kind of a nicer way, I felt like, that they probably wouldn't feel like they were getting called out in front of their colleagues, more so that I was just trying to be helpful. So moving on to the second question, which is, you work for a tyrant of a doctor who has fired several nurses in your department. You just saw him make an error that might endanger the patient, but you were afraid to speak up. You need the job. What would you do? So I did kind of a similar response to this one, where I would try to address the issue myself. So for example, if the doc didn't wash his hands again, so maybe he was seeing a particular patient and when he walked into the room he didn't wash his hands. So I might try to use something in that situation to my advantage. Like for example, if he was wearing gloves, I might mention like, hey doctor, I noticed a tear in those gloves. Let me go get you a new pair so you can re-scrub. And again, I'm just trying to save him some time, do him a favor, and also low-key call him out for not washing his hands, and hopefully directing him to do so in a nice way. And then the third question and my response, I'll go ahead and read the question out loud first. So you are a doctor in a reputable hospital and work with a physician who you regard as incompetent in many areas. Do you speak to the doctor directly or opt to speak to your boss? What are the advantages and disadvantages of each approach? So I would opt to speak to the boss. And the way I would speak to the boss, I might say something like, hey, so I noticed some staff not following procedure for X, whatever procedure. I think the staff would benefit from a refreshment training class or competence testing. And that way, the benefits would be, you're going to address all the incompetent employees at once instead of just that one doctor who you saw or observed being incompetent. And then also the boss might be thankful to you for bringing that issue to their attention. I feel like if they're a good boss, would probably be thankful about that and oblige and provide some sort of refreshment training or competence testing. The cons would be that no one employee could be named or evaluated. So in this method, you couldn't really call out like, hey, I noticed this doctor especially is being incompetent. But that was kind of the point of the way I worded that. I don't think that that's very productive language when you're calling out certain people. I think it's a lot better, especially on a first offense, to address the entire group and kind of just take it on as a group as like, hey, we're all going to try to get better, even though there's really just one or two people that might be bringing us down. I think the first time around especially, it's very important to make sure that the whole group is trying to get better with those few incompetent employees. I hope I explained that right. And then for the other option, so the other option would be approaching the employee directly instead of the boss. The cons for that, the benefits for that would be that you're directly addressing the issue. You're making sure that that person in specific understands that, hey, I've witnessed you not following procedure. So probably other people have. I feel like that would really if they're a competent employee again, that would probably affect them and make them feel like they need to go ahead and study up or, just watch their procedures a little bit better. The cons are that you definitely risk retaliatory action or bad feelings from that doctor because they could very easily just get angry and feel targeted by you and then not try to make anything better and actually just try to target you in the future because they felt threatened. So that's definitely a large con for me. That's probably why I ended up leaning towards speaking with the boss. I feel like that would be a more productive conversation. So that brings me to the end of my answers for the discussion board.